Welcome back. In today's story, a young man who built a reputation on faking the paranormal starts to understand the old fabled tale about the boy who cried wolf. Do enjoy. The dim glow of computer screens filled Jack's small, cluttered apartment. Candles flickered in the corners, creating an atmosphere of mystery that perfectly complemented the illusion he was about to craft. Jack, a man in his early 30s with an easy smile and charismatic demeanor, sat hunched over his editing software, meticulously fine-tuning the latest video for his YouTube channel, Paranormal Illusions. Jack had always possessed a knack for deception, and his charming personality drew people into his web of fabricated supernatural encounters. He had started the channel as a side project, a way to make a quick buck by exploiting people's fascination with the unknown. Little did he know that his talent for creating fake, ghostly experiences would lead him down a dark and haunted path. As he edited the latest video, he mused to himself, "People are so gullible. A few eerie sounds, some manipulated shadows, and they eat it up like candy." Jack knew exactly how to manipulate his audience, giving them just enough fear to keep them coming back for more. His subscriber account skyrocketed, and the comment sections were filled with awestruck viewers praising his seamlessly supernatural abilities. His most popular videos included haunted abandoned buildings, dark forests, and old cemeteries. Each week, Jack would conduct a new tale of paranormal activity, weaving a web of deceit that ensnared his growing audience. Little did they know that every ghostly figure, every mysterious sound, was carefully crafted by Jack's editing skills. As Jack finished the final touches on his latest video, he reveled in the anticipation of the reactions he would receive. He chuckled to himself, thinking about the countless comments, speculating on the authenticity of his content. "They'll never know," he muttered with a self-satisfied grin. The live chat on his channel buzzed with excitement as he announced a live stream from an alleged haunted mansion on the outskirts of town. Followers flooded in, eagerly awaiting the next spine-tingling spectacle. Jack set up his equipment in the debilitated mansion, ensuring a stage was set for another fabricated ghostly encounter. He smirked at the camera, enjoying the thought of fear he would instill in his viewers. Little did he know that this night would be different. The abandoned mansion creaked and groaned as Jack prepared for his live stream. He adjusted the camera angles, strategically placing fake cobwebs and flickering lights to enhance the eerie atmosphere. His followers eagerly awaited the spectacle, their anticipation evident in the rapid flow of comments. As Jack began his live event, he moved through the mansion with practiced ease, recounting tales of ghostly apparitions and inexplicable phenomena. The viewers were enthralled, hanging on his every word as he navigated the dark halls. "All right, folks, let's see if we can catch something tonight," Jack declared, with a mischievous glint in his eyes. He initiated an electronic voice phenomenon, EVP session, encouraging any spirits present to communicate with him through the static-laden frequencies. To his surprise, as he reviewed the captured audio later in the live stream, a distant and chilling voice echoed through the recording. The words were faint but unmistakable. "You must feed me, Jack." His initial shock was quickly replaced by skepticism. "Must be a glitch," he muttered to himself, replaying the snippet repeatedly. Yet the voice persisted, a spectral whisper cutting through the manufactured ambience. In a moment of disbelief, Jack turned to his small crew, a group of friends he had enlisted to help with his elaborate hoaxes. "All right, guys, very funny," he chuckled nervously. "Who's messing with the EVP?" His crew exchanged puzzled glances, denying any involvement. Unease settled over the group as they listened to the haunting voice together. Jack, Still clinging to his skepticism, brushed it off as a technical malfunction or a prank by one of his team members. As the live stream continued, the unease lingered. Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted, that the line between his illusions and reality blurred. Despite his attempts to rationalize the eerie voice, doubt crept into his mind. The live event concluded with Jack promising his viewers an in-depth analysis of the supposed glitch. Little did he know that the entity he had unknowingly invited into his world was already beginning to follow him, leaving an indelible mark on his life, both online and off. The live event wrapped up, and Jack returned to the comfort of his apartment. As he settled into his favorite chair, he couldn't shake the unsettling feeling that lingered from the EVP incident. He pulled up the recorded session, determined to debunk the mysterious voice that had disrupted his carefully orchestrated illusion. With a dismissive grin, Jack played back the EVP segment. Shaking his head in disbelief, "Probably just a glitch in the equipment," he muttered to himself, rationalizing the eerie voice as a technical hiccup. His fingers danced across the keyboard as he edited the video, adding annotations claiming the unexpected voice as nothing more than a fleeting error. Satisfied with his explanation, Jack shifted his focus to his YouTube analytics. His subscriber count had soared after the live event, and comments flooded in praising the authenticity of the glitched EVP. His followers were enthralled by the supposed paranormal encounter, unknowingly celebrating the very real entity that had now latched onto Jack's life. As Jack immersed himself in the virtual world of likes and comments, the lights in his apartment flickered. He dismissed it as a mere power fluctuation, a common occurrence in his older buildings. The temperature in the room dropped noticeably, but Jack attributed it to the faulty heating system. He chuckled at his own paranoia, convinced that the events of the haunted mansion were merely playing tricks on his mind. However, as the night progressed, the strange occurrences escalated. Shadows danced on the walls, taking shape that seemed to defy the laws of physics. Unexplained whispers echoed through the darkened rooms, and Jack caught glimpses of fleeting figures out of the corner of his eye. His skepticism wavered, but Jack refused to acknowledge the possibility of a genuine supernatural presence. Probably just fatigue, he reasoned, attributing the bizarre happenings to stress and an overactive imagination. Determined to maintain control, he immersed himself in creating his next paranormal video, using his editing skills to fabricate more illusions to distract himself from the mounting unease. Exhausted, and still haunted by the eerie events of the night, Jack decided to call it a night, and retreated to his bed. As he lay in the darkness, his eyelids heavy with fatigue, the room seemed to echo with the remnants of the ghostly whispers. Sleep enveloped him, and Jack found himself standing in a surreal landscape. A vast, otherworldly realm, filled with spectral figures. The air was thick with an ancient stillness, and cobweb-covered apparitions stretched as far as the eye could see. Each ethereal form exuded a sense of long-forgotten sorrow. As Jack stood frozen in the midst of the spectral congregation, he noticed a subtle movement among the lines of the dead. At first, it was barely perceivable, but soon he could discern a rhythmic undulation. Something stirred within the ghostly multitude. The movements intensified, like a ripple through a sea of lost souls. Jack's heart raced as he realized that the apparitions were not as motionless as they seemed. The spectral figures closest to him began to shift, their hollow eyes fixated on him with an inscrutable hunger. Dread consumed Jack as the realization dawned upon him. His very presence was attracting the attention of the infinite dead. They craved the life force he possessed, an essence that drew them like moths to a flame. The once silent assembly of phantoms now moved purposefully, converging towards him with an insatiable appetite for the vitality he unknowingly harbored. In panic, Jack tried to move, but the weight of the ghostly gazes held him in place. The sea of spirits closed in, their movements synchronized with an ominous dance. Just as the first ghostly hand reached out to touch him, Jack's eyes snapped open. Gasping for breath, he found himself back in his room. The moonlight filtered through the curtains, casting eerie shadows across the walls. The remnants of his dream clung to his consciousness, and as he scanned the room, he thought he saw movement in the darkness. Subtle, fleeting, but undeniably present. Now we're going to have a short scare break while you ease your nerves. So while you're waiting, don't forget, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and stab that subscribe button right now. As doing so, you'll really help the professor spread his shadow of evil. Now, let's get back to the story. The following day, Jack's weariness was etched into the lines on his face and the grey strands that had seemingly multiplied overnight. He rubbed his temples, trying to shake off the persistent fatigue as he prepared to meet his friends, fellow conspirators in the art of illusion. As he walked into the local cafe to discuss the next paranormal venture, his friends' faces shifted, from casual greetings to astonished expressions. Mark, a longtime friend and loyal crew member, pointed at Jack's salt and pepper hair with a smirk. "Hey Jack, since when did you decide to age a decade overnight?" Mark chuckled, not realizing the gravity behind his comment. Confused, Jack touched his hair and felt the coarse texture of the newly arrived grey strands. The realization hit him like a wave. His friends continued to jest about Jack's sudden aging, attributing it to the stress or an early midlife crisis. However, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that the entity draining his life was manifesting its toll on his physical appearance. As they discussed plans for the next paranormal event, Jack's mind wandered. He could sense that subtle movement again, the same he had witnessed in his dream and glimpsed in the room. Shadows seemed to dance at the edges of his vision, a silent reminder of the ominous force now intertwined with his existence. Despite the mockery and jests, Jack tried to focus on the task at hand. His friends outlined elaborate plans for their upcoming video, oblivious to the internal struggle Jack faced. He forced a smile, nodding in agreement, but the weight of his exhaustion bore down on him. As the meeting concluded, Jack excused himself, claiming fatigue and the need for rest. His friends exchanged knowing glances, still attributing his sudden aging to stress and overwork. Jack, however, couldn't escape the truth that lurked beneath the surface. As he walked away from the cafe, he felt the eyes of the unseen onlookers, the same spectral presence that haunted his dreams and aged him prematurely. The movement persisted, an unsettling undercurrent that now accompanied him even in the waking world. With a heavy heart and aching bones, Jack headed home, the weight of the entity's drain on his life essence becoming increasingly palpable. Weariness clung to Jack like a heavy cloak as he stumbled back into his apartment. The fatigue had settled deep within his bones, making every step a struggle. He knew something was wrong, but the elusive entity draining his life force remained just beyond the edge of his understanding. In the dim glow of his apartment, Jack absent-mindedly scrolled through the photos taken during the meeting with his friends. As he swiped through the images, a sense of unease crept over him. In the background of the group selfie, a dark, shadowy figure loomed over him. His friends were oblivious to the presence, but Jack's eyes widened in terror. "Must be a glitch," he thought, desperately clinging to the rational explanations that were slipping away. Ignoring the ominous figure, Jack's tired body pleaded for rest. He climbed into bed, hoping to escape the haunting reality that encroached upon his life. As he closed his eyes, the room echoed with whispers. The shadows seemed to converge, and an oppressive weight settled over him. Once again, Jack found himself in the dream realm. Standing amidst the endless sea of the dead, the ghostly figures turned their hollow gazes towards him, their eyes slowly shifting from mournful sadness to something more ominous. But amidst the congregation of the deceased, Jack spotted a darker presence, a malevolent force, ancient and insatiable, moved between the spectral forms. It sought him, hungered for his life force, and its intent was palpable. As the malevolent entity approached, the air grew heavy with foreboding. It didn't speak, Its intentions were communicated through an ancient malevolence that transcended words. Jack felt his essence being drained, siphoned away by this malevolent force that loomed over him like a sinister spectre. The draining sensation intensified, and Jack struggled against an overwhelming lethargy. In the dream, he offered his life force unwittingly. Powerless to resist the ancient evil that sought to consume him, the malevolent entity, satisfied with its feast, retreated into the shadows. Abruptly, Jack woke up, gasping for breath. The room was devoid of the dream's haunting atmosphere, but the remnants of his nocturnal ordeal clung to him like a haunting spectre. The fatigue persisted, but now it was accompanied by a bone-deep dread. Jack realized that the entity, once confined to the realm of dreams, had crossed into his waking life. The reality of the situation became undeniable for Jack. The lines between the fabricated illusions and the haunting truth blurred into a nightmarish tapestry. Desperation gripped him, and with trembling hands he called his friends, hoping they would understand the gravity of his predicament. Breathless and anxious, Jack spilled out the details of his encounters with the malevolent entity, the draining dreams, and the tangible toll it had taken on his once vibrant life. His plea for help echoed through the phone, but the response he received was far from what he had hoped. Laughter emanated from the other end of the line, his friends dismissing his frantic words as another elaborate setup for the next paranormal event. "Great idea for a next video, Jack. You've really outdone yourself this time," Mark chuckled, oblivious to the torment etched in Jack's voice. Desperation laced Jack's words as he begged them to listen, to understand that this was not a staged act. His friends, however, attributed his distress to the pressure of success, thinking that Jack had succumbed to the strain of their newfound popularity. Unable to sway them, Jack felt the weight of his exhaustion pressing down on him. He knew he needed to stay awake, to avoid the dream world where the malevolent entity waited for him. Yet, his weakened state betrayed him, and he found himself sinking into the clutches of a profound fatigue. Lying in bed, he fought the encroaching darkness, the malevolent entity standing ominously at the foot of his bed. It uttered no words, but the intent was clear. It was time for the final draining. Fear clawed at Jack's heart as he tethered on the edge of consciousness. The malevolent entity, gorged with his stolen life force, moved closer. No words were spoken, but a malevolent aura enveloped the room. In the realm of dreams, Jack felt his strength waning. The sea of the dead stared at him with hollow eyes, bearing witness to the accumulation of his torment. The malevolent entity descended upon him, a devourer of life, draining the last remnants of essence from Jack's frail form. The next day, a friend discovered Jack's lifeless body in his apartment. The once vibrant man, now a mere shell. His friends, oblivious to the real terror that had consumed him, mourned the passing of a man they thought had fallen victim to the pressures of success. Months after Jack's untimely demise, Mark and the crew decided to pay tribute to their fallen friend with a special paranormal event. They crafted an elaborate setup using the latest video capture technique that promised to capture images through electromagnetic waves, a technological trick to honor the memory of the man who had once fabricated so many illusions. The crew gathered in an old abandoned mansion, the setting chosen for its eerie atmosphere. The air buzzed with a mix of excitement and nostalgia as they prepared for the event. Mark, still haunted by the loss of his friend, hoped this tribute would bring some sense of closure. As the crew started the live stream, the new technology displayed an image on the screen, vivid and clear. At first, it seemed like a successful illusion, with the electromagnetic waves creating ghostly apparitions that danced around the frame. The crew marveled at the realism of the illusion, congratulating themselves on the effectiveness of their tribute. However, as the image stabilized, the crew's gasps filled the room. The figures on the screen were not mere illusions. They were the spirits of the dead, old and dusty, adorned with cobwebs. Hundreds, thousands of them stood in the mansion, their hollow eyes devoid of life. The realization struck like a cold breeze, sending shivers down their spines. Amidst the spectral congregation, a figure emerged. Jack, his form once vibrant and full of life, now stood among the deceased, his presence unmistakable. The crew stared in disbelief, their initial excitement replaced by a chilling recognition. Mark's hand trembled as he whispered Jack's name, unable to comprehend the spectral revelation before him. The tribute, meant to honor Jack, had unwittingly unveiled the truth beyond their understanding. The spirits on the screen mirrored the dream realm Jack had described, a sea of the dead with hollow eyes, forever frozen in a realm between life and death. As the crew grappled with the haunting images on the screen, they realized that Jack's legacy extended beyond the fabricated illusions of his past. The malevolent entity may have claimed his physical form, but his spirit lingered among the spectral congregation, a testament to the blurred lines between illusion and the supernatural. And as the images continued to flicker on the screen, Jack's eyes, hollow but somehow expressive, seemed to convey a message from beyond. The crew, forever changed by the experience, realized that the boundaries between life and death were not as rigid as they once believed. And if you're still looking to fulfill your thirst for more horror, don't forget to check out this next video, unless of course you're frozen with fear already.